come give my gauges to my 73 C10 a much needed refresh. First things first, you got to remove it from the truck. I'm also going to do away with most of this wiring because when I go to do the AC, I'm going to do a custom, I'm not doing this, and I'm going to do a custom radio harness. So I'm going to be taking out most of what is in here for wiring currently, replacing it later. I have a radio already. I don't have the AC, so that's going to be another day, but just get it out of the way at this point, since I'm already in here. So I've got everything set up at my old gaming station to do the wiring for this. I got some cheap gauges off Amazon. Right over here, not that box. And this gauge is actually off of Temu. I got it for free, so I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to try to reuse the speedometer, but this and this are not out of that truck. The previous owner, one of them did something horrible to, I guess, 2 different trucks, because it's got to be from like an 80s model, because that doesn't fit properly in there at all, and neither did that, as you probably saw in that first little snippet. If I can't reuse this, I have one sitting at O'Reilly's waiting for me to pick it up, but, you know, hopefully I don't have to use that, because I would really enjoy saving a little bit of money on this, even though it's going to be fairly cheap. Those were like 20 bucks together. That was free. Cost the most was the wiring and all that, but I already had most of that as well. Well, let's get into it. So this is where I'm starting. I took out all the bulbs. I'm going to keep them because I think I have a plan on how to make the turn signal work properly still. But I'm going to keep those. There's a few more things. Like I said, I'm trying to reuse the speedometer, so I'm going to try to pull that out and see if I can actually use it. It didn't work in the first place, so worst come to worst, it doesn't work. And these are the turn signal bulbs, so I'm obviously going to keep those. They shine through a little green piece of film, I would say, so I'm going to try to use that as well. So I'm basically going to tear this whole thing apart, and I don't feel bad about it at all because it's not even for my truck. I would have felt worse if it was for my truck, but a little bit of research led me down that rabbit hole, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, so all I did was take all these bolts and screws out. Some of them were missing. In my situation, I'm not trying to spend a fortune on this, so I'm going to try to keep this. I still want to keep most of what is in there. So turn signals and my my gauge selector, but it never worked anyway. So worst come to worst, I don't use it, but I would like it to be there, you know what I mean? So all I did was take those out, and then you can just remove this. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm really just hoping I can reuse the speedometer. I don't know if that's even a possibility, so we're gonna find out. Let's just keep going. So we have the gauge off. We should be able to reuse that. Previous person apparently had been in here and put some LED strips. I was crackhead, dude. I don't know, man. All right, so all this is going to be trash. There's the 2 turn signal films. There's the gauge I wanted out of there. I'm going to try something with these. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I'm not sure if that's going to work. I'm not sure if these are going to work. And that most definitely is not going to work because the stuff isn't even there to make it work. But it's going to be there, and that's all I care about right now. So just trying to do it cheap. All right, now on to this, where we're going to try to take these gauges and fit them in these pods on the back. It's going to be a lot more simple than I'm making it sound. So the reason I went with these ones over other ones, even though they were 20 bucks, is because of the way they mount. So you just stick this through whatever hole, which is going to end up being one of these 4. And then when it comes through, this just bolts onto the back and pushes against this, not allowing it to come out. Now we're going to have to cut this down. This is how we're going to mount all of the gauges pretty much. We're going to have to cut that down, stick this through. It's going to have to come down quite a bit, but I'm not scared to mess it up because this, again, is for an 80s model, not a 73 like I have. Okay, new plan. I figured out this will honestly just flat out just sit in there, but it can't. So I have to have somewhere to mount it. And then that, I have no clue how to mount it. And then all of this stuff, right? So I came up with a plan with this, where I'm gonna cut it where the pencil mark is. And it can hold everything. It's just gonna be a shell though. So it can hold everything, but it's gonna be wired with custom wiring. But I'm gonna cut it so that the other gauges will fit on this side. Seems like a good plan. Okay, so after using the Dremel for a while, it overheated, but I figured it out. I got the first one in. It doesn't look too great, but it doesn't look horrible. So we're gonna rock with that. It's actually gonna be the one that goes down here. I'm just gonna using it for size for all of them because they're all the same size. But you gotta cut down quite a bit, like quite a bit. So I'm gonna pull that out and I'll get started on the next three. I was out here cutting the stuff, trying to get it to work. This just split, so I think I'm just gonna do without it. It's gonna make it harder to see the speedometer at night, but it'll be all right. Screw it. So that is the speedometer and tachometer mounted into the cluster. Obviously a little bit of stuff was done, and it does look a little goofy, I understand, but that's just gonna be how it is. When I get the money later to get matching with these ones, when I get the money later, I'll just do them again. It's not gonna be too difficult. I might just have to pull the actual thing, this back out, and cut those down a little. But as of right now, that should work as long as I wire it properly. All right, so the gauges are in. I just got to figure out the wiring. But the problem I'm going to run into, I bought these bus bars to do most of it, to like have one for headlight, one for ignition, and then one for ground. But the problem is it's going to be too heavy for these, but I have nowhere to put them. Now I thought about, if I didn't cut that in half, it would have worked. So if you're trying to do this, don't cut that in half. But yeah, I'm gonna figure something out and I'll get back to you. All right, so this is where I'm gonna end it for the night. I don't know when I'll work on it again. Hopefully I get an hour or two throughout the week until my next day off. But all the lights work. I did test those with a 9-volt battery and they all turned on, so that's good. Other than that, I'm gonna have to get some sockets off Amazon. I could solder wire to these, but I just don't think it would be worth my time or the solder to do so. You could do one there, and then insert it for that in the back. But you can buy them on Amazon for $5 for like, I think 10. And they don't come with any bulb, but I have no shortage of bulbs. So